joined by Carol Cabale. Welcome to the show, Carol.
Hi, Erin. I'm so excited to be here.
Can you tell people a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. So, my name is Carol Kabale. As you've said, I run a small social media marketing agency, but we focus primarily on Facebook ads. I love working with women entrepreneurs who have a purpose and who are just here to serve. And that's kind of a little bit of work sides what I do. Other fun facts about me is I have a lovely husband. His name is Joel. I have a little dog who's a Boston Terrier. His name is Charlie. I love pizza. I love wine. In fact, I love carbs. Anything with carbs, like it probably has my name on it. So, yeah, that's a little bit about me in a nutshell.
How did you get into the social media marketing stuff?
Oh my gosh, that's a great one. Um, Truly, I used to work in corporate. I was ticking all the right boxes. I went to university, got a nice corporate job. I worked in corporate hospitality, and it sucked, Aaron. To be quite honest, it sucked. It was life draining. I was exhausted. I was burnt out. And I just knew there had to be more, like lifestyle wise and even financially wise, there had to be more. Because where I wanted to be, the people who were at that bracket and at that level of freedom, they were so much older than me. They were like in their 40s and their 50s. I was like, am I really going to wait until I'm 40 in my 50s to like live? So I had to figure out something else out. And one thing I really liked about my corporate job was the social part of it, the marketing side of it. And I particularly liked Facebook ads because it was very data driven. So you make decisions based on data and not on a whim. And I followed that. And with doing a little bit of certification work, and I started with a small agency, a couple of practice clients. And now, 6 years later, we're still here. And it's like going so far, so good. Cross my fingers.
Yeah, it's quite a big industry, isn't it? Like social media advertising and stuff like that. I think I seen something where the global spending on social media ads has gone or expected to reach like kind of 268 billion. So
Yeah.
it's quite a lot of money that people are putting down on these ads and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's definitely an industry with opportunity still, even though it's been going for a while.
Yeah,
What what
definitely.
kind of what kind of clients do you kind of have? Is it small businesses or is it a lot of kind of solopreneurs or who's your main clientele?
Like I said, I work with a lot of women entrepreneurs, sometimes small solopreneurs, but sometimes they have like a small team, like three or four or five people. They're generally purpose driven, like life coaches or coaches in general. They work in that niche. Um, I like that niche per se because I feel like it comes from a place of service. Look, it's all great to help people who are like, I'm selling this phone, let's get more people to buy the phone. But I what I like about working with those kind of service driven people is that they're making a deeper impact, especially when they're good. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, there's some bad apples out there. There's some bad apples. I don't want to work with them. I don't want to amplify their messaging. I don't want them to steal your money. I want to work with like people who are here to help and give actual practical solutions. So yeah, that's my ideal client.
Yeah, do you kind of how do you vet them clients to make sure that you're working with the right people?
Firstly, they have to pass the vibe check. Like, I'm very much about intuition and how I feel someone's energy. So if I get on a call and someone is like, hey, how are you going to get me results? Like, they're very pushy, or they're like, pitch me right now, tell me all your services. I'm like, I don't need to prove myself to you, sir or ma'am. Like, no. If we're going to be a good fit, we're going to be a good fit. Like, I just know it. Other ways is I want to work with people who have testimonials, who they believe so much in their offers that they've gotten great results for people who have come before them. I don't want someone who's just shown up today and like, oh, I have this idea, I put it through ChatGPT, I created the course, let's sell it. I'm like, no, let's not do that. So I want to work with people who have done it, been there, done that, got the t-shirt, basically in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool way to kind of weed out the ones that are just kind of in it for a quick buck or whatever. Um,
Mm.
yeah, and do you find that because a lot of small business owners, like the people who are coaching or doing stuff, they're there because they want to help other people, but they don't necessarily
Mhm.
have the kind of the skills on social media to kind of promote themselves, and because their skill set is in the coaching side of it. So do you find that a lot of what you do is kind of education as well?
I do find there is a level of education to it. But I also find that a lot of people, they just want to do their thing, you know? And I think as business owners, we all want to do that. A lot of them tell me, Carol, I don't want to sell. Like, I don't want to do that. It's like, ew, I don't want to. I just want people to come and I want them to help. I want to help them and I want to move on. And I'm like, well, that's all well and dandy. I mean, if it was like that, we'd all be millionaires. But unfortunately, that's the one key component I can't do for you. I can't sell. You have to believe in what you're doing so much that you do sell, right? You get out there and sell. Oh, I feel like I'm going to sneeze. Hold on, sorry. Um, and with that itself, with the education, I think there's been this, how can I say it, like this disconnect with social media where everything is instant gratification, right? We've been so taught that, like, in 15 seconds, you're going to get the answer to everything. That if you just read this little carousel, all your problems will be solved. Where in fact, that's just like one piece of the puzzle. So I go in and I try and explain that to them. I explain to them that ads only form one part of the puzzle. We need to build the whole thing out, the whole automated system. And with that comes things like traditional email marketing. People still open their emails every day. Emails are not going anywhere. A lot of things have come and gone, but emails are still here. So, are you sending emails out? Are people opening them? The type of social content that you're putting out, is it things that people want to see? Are you, unfortunately, social media without ads, you're just taking spaghetti, throwing at the wall, hoping it will stick, right? So with ads, you get to like target who you want to speak to all the time. So that's also part of the education that I do, that like you can pay someone to create all these beautiful graphics, all these beautiful videos for you, but if no one is seeing them, what's the point?
Yeah, I suppose that's the beauty with the ads. You can kind of put them in front of the audience that you want them in front of and reach more of those people really. Whereas, the algorithm for kind of just kind of general content that you put out, if unless you already have a big kind of following, or you've already got even the followings now don't matter so much, but even if you've got the algorithm kind of warmed up to a point where you are being shown to a lot of people, then you're not really you're getting like 200 views generally.
Oh, yes, that's my favorite number, 200, 300 views. Do you like, Aaron, have you seen those ads, especially on TikTok, that say like, "Oh, are you struggling to get past 200 views, 300 views? We can help." Do you think that is a coincidence? It's not. It's them pushing you to not get past that 200, 300 mark unless you're super niche down, unless you have like this very viral format that people already expected from you. You won't get over that because it's not your sandbox. And because it's not your sandbox and you cannot control what's happening, you will be stuck in that. And the other sad thing is that we have no control over who these 200 or 300 people are. For all you know, it could be your grandmother, it could be your neighbor, it could be someone you don't like. It's not even going to like care about your product. So if you're going to spend all this time putting all of these things together, you might as well show it to the right people.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the viral videos, they all share something, don't they? Which we can learn from and
Mm.
use even for our ads and stuff. But they all have that hook and that general, like you say, it's that instant gratification. So if we don't get someone's attention in them first couple of seconds, then they're gone and on to the next.
Exactly. In the first 3 seconds is the most vital part of any ad, you know. And you can see, I always say to my clients, like, "Oh, Carol, but I don't know where to start." And I'm like, go look at your content, go look at your organic content and see like what's performed really well. What has had like the longest watch time in the first like 3 seconds, 5 seconds? What did you do there? Like, what was the style like? What were you wearing? What did you say? There's a lot of information that can already help you to create amazing ads, and the data is already there. You just have to look for it.
Yeah, I find that for me personally, what like gets me is like a visual hook. So to know that people
Mm.
do these clip transitions, so that they might have like somebody falling down and then they shoot into something like that.
I love that.
Guess
I love that.
guess me every time. Guess me every time.
I literally see those things. You're just like someone's driving and then they like fall over the motorbike and it's like whoosh. It's like, hello, have you? Hilarious. I love those things.
Yeah, that always works on
Uh,
me. So
uh.
um, but that's the whole thing, isn't it? Is getting people's attention, and then it depends on what you're trying to do. Then you might, if it's a longer video, then you need to continually keep people's attention as well. So there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
to it. It's not just a case of people thinking just put a video out and then that's it. You know,
I mean, if it
there's
was that simple, we'd all do it.
Yeah, absolutely, and there is some sort of, you know, you got to get your formula right, and like you say, you figure out what's working, and you got to double down on it because a lot of these people, you'll see like come up on your feed, for instance, right? You'll have a video of somebody doing something, like it might be one of those transitions, and then if you go and look at all their
Mm.
content, it'd be a lot of similar content or a lot of similar hooks because they figured out what works and they'll keep hammering it until it doesn't work anymore.
And I think that's very important. Like a lot of times, we as entrepreneurs like to be like, oh, well, we've tried that. It worked. Let's try something else. Why would you try something else? This thing worked. So double down on it, like you've just said, like keep doing it until it doesn't work. This could be your little niche. It's probably like the thing, like you and me, we like that style of video. I want to go see more of them. I don't want you to show me something else. Like that was funny. Show me another one. Like, please show me another one. So I think it's important to remember that when you're creating your content, and also remember that not everybody is going to see your content. Even if you're running ads, this may be the first time that someone's coming across your content. So you may be thinking, oh my gosh, I've created the same thing like 10 times, but this is the first time as I, Carol, as the consumer, is coming across it. So for me, it's brand new. It's very exciting.
Yeah, and I think we kind of get lost in that a little bit. We don't realize just quite how broad and wide social media is, and like I say,
Mm.
people might not see your content twice. So, you know, and the whole point is to keep them on the hook. If they enjoy it, then they might see it again, but they're not going to get irritated because they've enjoyed the first one. It's going to be relatively similar the second one, just with slight differences, and it just gives you an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to share your message with them people, doesn't it? Really.
Yeah. And I also think to that point, like it's important to be consistent with that because a lot of times we fall off the bandwagon because we don't have a plan, we don't have a strategy in place. And what then tends to happen is that you post on Monday, you post on Sunday, you post on Wednesday, you post next week, you post next month. Then you're very consistent and you post every day. And that also not only confuses the algorithm because they're like, well, when should I push your stuff? But also confuses your audience. You know, I heard this thing once from Will Smith, and he said, you don't have to be the best, you just have to work longer than everybody else. And that to me really stuck with me, even with something like ads or advertising or anything you do. You don't have to be the best. You just have to outlast your competitor and stay top of mind. A lot of times, I don't know if you get this, Aaron, but sometimes I've heard this within the safe space of entrepreneurships when we like to like talk to one another and we've had these private conversations, and a lot of people will be like, why is that person so successful? I mean, their stuff is not really that good. Like, why do they get all the clients? Why do they get all these things? Well, it's because they're consistent. They're not like, they may not be 100% the best, but they're the ones who show up. They're the ones who give value. They're the ones who are like constantly there. And when someone wants to buy something, you're like, oh, yeah, let me learn from them. There's probably smarter people, but that's the person that came into your mind. So that's who you buy from.
Yeah, I think. I mean, I found that with the stuff that I do and with the podcast and stuff, and that consistency and putting out content to like I say, my show isn't the best. I'm not I'm not Joe Rogan. We put these shows out, and I put it out consistently Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I keep doing that. And it's slowly but surely, my followership is growing, my subscribers growing because my content is different but consistent. So people kind of know what to expect, know when to expect it, and from doing that, it can build a bit of a following and people can get on board with it. And I think, there's again, rather than, and I'm bad for it, that instant gratification, we all want it. I want to wake up tomorrow and have a million followers, but it doesn't work that way. So it's about consistency and about just continually just plodding on, doing the right things, making kind of small improvements as we go along to kind of just generally be going in the right direction. And over time, you'll be surprised where you can get to.
I 100% agree. And to add to your point of going viral, I had a client of mine whose one ad went completely viral. Like, because obviously you can put money behind the ad, but it's still like a piece of content. So people can still share it, comment, and the algorithm organically also, promotes it. And we woke up the one day and she had like literally like 300,000 views like on this ad. And this, for an ad, you get a certain number that we know because like we're putting money into this. But to wake up one day just have like 300,000 that came out of nowhere, you're like, whoa, 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 what's happening here? But here's the interesting about that. We were in the very beginning of her funnel and we were still building it out. So all we were doing basically is gathering awareness, which was great because we got all these views. But because there was no next step, right? Because she had nowhere to take them, you couldn't really translate that into sales. You couldn't really translate that into like, well, we have 300,000 views. How many emails did we get? How many people signed up to her newsletter, to her, what can we do as an ROI here? Like what can we get out of it? Besides the vanity matrix of saying like, oh wow, this worked really well, we didn't make any more sales than we would have on an ad that maybe had 1,000 views. So, to that, I would say it's great to go viral if that is your objective. It's really important to have an objective, when you set these things up, because that's what's going to really help you.
Yeah, it does massively help, and I suppose especially if you're putting money down to get results, then
Mm-hmm.
you want, even if it's not kind of making sales initially, you want some sort of conversion, even if it's collecting email addresses that you can then reach out to people, get that permission to kind of reach out to people and have multiple touch points over a period of time and try to kind of build that relationship, really, because that's what it is ultimately. It's a relationship between the customer and the potential customer and the business, right?
Yeah, it's all about nurturing, having a conversation, and being like, hey, I have this thing. This is how it's going for me. This is how it's going for other people. Would you like to be a part of it? And then the person says yes or no, thank you. And then you can try again. Hey, we have this thing. Try it differently. So you're nurturing until the person says yes. And you can put different offers in front of people. You don't have to put like your most expensive offer. Sometimes people just need a taste, they need something small, nibble to see that you're reliable. And then they'll invest in your high ticket programs or they'll invest in whatever more expensive offer that you have. Sometimes they just need to see that you're like real and what you offer is something that they can vibe with.
Yeah, and like I say, sometimes it's about reaching them multiple times so you can kind of build that kind of trust as well, isn't it? So they kind of see that, oh, you are consistent. This is who you tell me you are. It is who you are, and kind of build that kind of confidence in you before they kind of purchase from you or before they join whatever email list you've got and stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%.
So I found an interesting stat actually about on Facebook ads as well that especially in relation to kind of coaching and stuff like that, compared to the other
Mm.
sectors, it has the highest click through rate.
Oh yeah, I could believe that. I think a lot of people need
Yeah.
help. I think that comes
Yeah.
with a lot of people need help. I think I don't know about you, Aaron, but I didn't know about a lot about coaches before I started this. I was like, what's a coach? Like someone who teaches sport. And then I figured out like there are these people that they can help you with many things. They can help you with like your business and setting it up because they've done it before. They can like help you what you need to do. There's people who can help you with your mindset. There's people who can help you like more spiritual stuff. There's people who's there for like your wellness and how you feel. And I was like, these are all valuable skills that, I never knew could be a thing that you could subscribe to. So yeah, very fun. Or they could teach you a practical skill like, learning to set up your email marketing or setting up your, doing your TikTok account. These are all forms of coaching. My husband, every time, like, fun fact, whenever we talk and he feels like I'm coaching someone, after I finish giving my advice, he goes, "Coach." I'm like, "Stop. That's not me. I'm just a person." Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important though because we can all kind of learn from each other and teach each other. So it's something that anyone can do really. You can everybody's got some sort of and everybody has a different experience of life, right? So they have something that they can bring to the table to help somebody else.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I mean, one of the things that I like give to having such a good business so far is that I did invest in a coach in the beginning of my business. And that really helped me create the structures that I have within my business. I also think that it helped a lot with my mindset because I came from that like corporate place where it was so toxic and it was so like, oh, go, 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 go all the time. I wanted to bring parts of that. How do I say, like, without thinking about it unconsciously, I was bringing some of that into this new business that I was building. And I had to stop myself because I was like, not like running away from that and just rebuilding it here. That's terrible. So yeah, I think it's great when you have someone who's like, "Hey, do you notice you're doing this? Have you noticed you're doing that?" And you're like, "Oh no, I didn't even mean to do that. My bad. Okay, let's not do that."
Yeah, and it helps to have somebody bounce ideas off as well, right? And just be like a soundboard as well sometimes.
Yeah. I think when you're an entrepreneur, it can be super, super like lonely. I don't know how you feel about this, but I feel very lonely. Most of the times it's just me talking to someone like you on the other side of the world. And it's like these are my little boosts of connection. These are the little interactions I get. If not, it's just me and my laptop and having a one girl dance party. And it's weird because in your office, when you were at work, you'd have your office bestie who you'd like have little looks at and little glances, and you'd have that human connection. You'd have someone who you didn't like at the office who would like come to your desk and annoy you, and you'd be like, "Oh gosh, here's this person again." You'd have those fun emails that would say, "As per my last email," and got very sassy with you, and now you don't have that anymore. Well, sometimes you still do get those. Let me not lie. Sometimes you still get those in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, I think we all have this vision before we do it, at least, of entrepreneurship that it's going to be all, I just do what I want when I want, and this kind of relaxing freedom. But it's it's not quite that way. I mean, especially at the start, maybe for people kind of
Mm-hmm.
later on the journey where things are a bit more kind of automated and there's less upfront grunt work, and you can concentrate on the things that you enjoy. I think um where did I see it? I think it was a survey somewhere anyway, and it said that 84% of business owners work over 40 hours a week. So,
Yeah, I
you
can
know,
believe
a
that.
lo- yeah, so people kind of throw themselves into that to get away from corporate and then end up doing a lot more hours. So if they're doing it to have less hours, it's probably not the place to be. And
A
you
hundred
know, you
percent.
and not having that human connection can be difficult as well at the start. I know a lot of people who have struggled with that, especially from being used to constantly being in the office and working with other people all the time. So there's a lot of adjustment to be made, right?
100%. I think also I'm still waiting personally for this laptop lifestyle we were sold on during the great pandemic, where we were told we were just going to work on our laptops by the pool somewhere in Bali or Vietnam. I'm still waiting for that to happen. Clearly not happening anytime soon. But Joe, I think it is a lot of work to put in, and it is a lot of work to put in. And sometimes, and I've caught myself doing this, I am in the process of trying to expand my family. And in that, I've noticed that the business I built, I've taken the whole year this year to focus on that. Like, how do I remove myself from this business, but it still functions? And that's kind of been a weird one because my business has usually been centered around me. And I didn't actually intend it to be that way, but all roads lead to me. So, how do I remove myself so I can give my energy to, potentially another tiny human, and this doesn't all go down in flames? How do I do that? So, it's been quite an interesting task to see, like, does this need me? Or is it that I enjoy doing it? I enjoy not even doing it, I enjoy the control of doing it. Do I need to be doing that task or can I give that away? And that, to be honest, has been a big mindset shift for me because I was just like, I just thought it was all going to go to hell if I didn't do it. And releasing so much of that. Yes, of course, I've had team members, but honestly, it's been very like, okay, you do that, but I still have to check everything. So to release that and be like, you do that, you have to take ownership. You have to take radical responsibility for this thing. It's been hard, but it's also been really fun because I've seen people shine and surprise me, good and bad, like in ways that I was like, girl, I never knew you had that in you. Okay, now I see you.
Yeah, I think a lot of us just kind of think that that this kind of work-life balance that we're looking for will kind of just fall into our lap. But
Mm-hmm.
realistically, balance is, it's not something that you just find. It's something you have to create. So you have to be, you have to be consistent in what you're doing. You have to create them kind of processes and put the people in place to kind of make it happen. Really, otherwise you'll forever be. And I've seen this with lots of small business owners. They just they're dragged into everything and they can't step away.
Yeah. And it's like we build these businesses for freedom, for a certain type of lifestyle. And it's like we've kind of like said, no, 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 actually, we can't have that lifestyle because if we try to, everything's going to go away. So we now have a new ball and chain, which is our business, our other little baby that requires all our attention. But I do believe it is possible. I do think it's a mindset shift. I do think it's having a little bit of faith, not only in yourself, but in people that you have brought on board, and knowing that it might actually be better with other people, you know, could be a better version of what you've created. And that to me is super exciting.
Yeah, they might have some different ideas and bring something different to the table. And ultimately, as well, if you're trying to do everything, you're not going to be the best at everything. So often it might be better to bring somebody in who will specialize in that one area, whose skill set really suits it.
I 100% agree. I mean, like, I like knowing a little bit of everything, but just so that I know in case something fails. But now that I can be like, hey, your thing is the website, have fun with it. Your thing is the emails, have fun with it. And I just sort of like come up with the biggest strategy and then other people implement, which is really fun. I find that this version of my business is probably the most fun version I've created thus far.
Yeah, I like that. And I see a quote the other day by Jim Rohn. It said, "If you
Mm.
don't design if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into somebody else's plan." So it's great to see that you're
Mm.
taking control and kind of doing that.
Let's do some snaps for that. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't want to build somebody else's thing. Like, that's amazing. I love that. Might need to write that on my whiteboard so I remember.
Yeah, but it's crucial, especially like you say, and you're on about starting a family and stuff like that. So it's important that you take control of that early on, so that you're not, because otherwise you just get burnt out, right? Because having a family is hard enough as it is, working's hard enough as it is, let alone if you feel like you have to be everything in that business, then it's just
Yeah.
gonna, yeah.
Escalate. I've seen my friends like I'm like kind of the one of the last ones in our friend groups to not have a tiny human yet. And it comes with its advantages and disadvantages. And advantages is that I get to see all the mistakes they've made or they've said are mistakes and they're like, "Carol, we did this totally wrong. Don't do this." And I also get to like be like, "Oh, okay, let me sit back and figure out how I'm going to do this." And with that being said, like you said, it is something else to take on. It's another layer. Um, but I think it might be a very satisfying layer once I figure it out. I'm still quite astonished by the fact that they let people who have no experience now take a whole child home. I'm still fascinated by that. Like, you really think I'm capable of zero experience? That to me is still fascinating. But I hope that my husband and I are up to the task and we do okay. That's all I can hope for. We do okay.
Yeah, it's a case of on the job learning, I'm afraid, with that.
God.
It's
That's my fear. Like, what if we do something terrible? Like, I don't know what, but I don't know. Sometimes we just, like, him and I will just have these flashbacks, like, do you know what I remember? And we're like, huh, where did that core memory come from? And it's like, gosh, I hope we don't do that. Someone one day doesn't look back and goes, do you know what I remember? That's wild.
yeah. I'm sure you'll muddle through and get. We all kind of muddle through having kids, and we get there at the end.
Yeah, no, no, definitely. I hope so. But yeah, I think with that, it also is going to bring another fun fact, which is going to be like time management. It's going to be, I see this with a lot of my friends. They're very like on it, like just very task orientated, and they've become actually more productive. So I also think that within your business, that's something that like everybody can learn from is you don't have to spend a lot of hours in your business to be successful. If you spend your time very strategically, you can actually move the ball forward a lot more than if you're just like dilly dallying and having 20,000 like meetings throughout the day. Oh my gosh, I hate a meeting. Like just sitting there for an hour and like nothing gets done. So unproductive.
Yeah, I think it's important as well that you concentrate on the tasks that actually move your business forward. Is that it's like the old 80-20 rule, isn't it? Really, we concentrate on the actual stuff that drives the business mostly, and then you stop worrying about the little things that have minimal impact.
100%. I had a friend of mine who called them income generating activities. And it was like, that is the first thing I do every single day in my business. What is moving the needle forward? Everything else can either wait or everything else I need to delegate. And I've actually taken that approach too. And it's very helpful. Like, what is going to move the needle forward? What's going to make the biggest impact? And focusing on that.
Yeah, thinking about it, Carol, what's success look like to you? What kind of so obviously you're working on building a family and stuff like that. You've got your
Yes.
business. What is success gonna ultimately look like for you?
I think success is definitely choice driven. I would like to have the freedom to have choice in whatever I want. So, success looks like to me choosing to move to a bigger house, being able to supply my family with whatever I feel like we need in that moment, and having the choice to do that, not having to be like, oh, it's either this or nothing. So success to me looks like choice. I come from a family of immigrants, like I'm not originally from this country. And it was very drilled into me that we have to succeed. Like I have to succeed, basically. We can't go back because going back is it's not an option. We have to succeed in this new place. And to me, I've really tried to take that on and I've tried to do the best I can with everything. And for me to do the best, I need to have choice. I need to be able to say, like, hey, let's go to Bali and do this laptop lifestyle thing. Let's, take the kids and homeschool them. Let's hire a bigger team and expand the agency. But all of that requires choice. And to have that freedom of choice, you probably need money. So that too needs to come with it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that freedom piece for me especially is something that's really important, and I think you can't put a value on it really. It's so if you're stuck in a job working until retirement age, which is like now like I don't know what is it? It's almost 70 now, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
like yeah, it's miserable, man, because you're tied. You can't live until you retire, sort of thing. You're kind of just stuck, getting like your couple of week holiday a year, and
Hmm.
just stuck working for somebody else. A lot of the times doing work we don't want to do, and it's just it's soul crushing.
It's It's so awful. Like, you know what? Most humans nowadays, we're living a long time, like you said. Like, we're living to like 70, 80, 90. Do you really want to take the bulk of your best years and just like be stuck in something you hate? Now, it doesn't mean everybody has to become an entrepreneur, but just choosing something that actually lights you up, choosing something that gives you purpose, choosing something that you're like, oh my gosh, I love this thing. I'm impacting the world or I'm impacting my family. This is just incredible. I'm proud to do this for 30, 40 years, whatever it may be. And that for me, when I figured that out, I was like, okay, no, I'm on to something here. Because also, I mean, I know I was raised with like Instagram and like trying to create the perfect feed. That's my little millennial self. And I'm like, so you're telling me that when I actually have the money to do these things, I'm going to be 70. I'm not going to have the best body. I'm not going to have the best look in myself. And then is when I can post things? I think not. I think not. And I'm not posting for other people. I'm posting for myself, but truly at 70, it's not my best unless I like, contact Chris Jenner because she's aging really well and be like, what are you doing, lady? Can I have it too? It's not going to work out at 70.
Yeah, and by that time we're probably, I mean, dependent, but generally you get health concerns at that kind of point as well, and you're not able to live in the way you want to live. So like, we need to live while we're able-bodied, and we've got a sound mind, and we can go and like actually properly enjoy the experiences.
Exactly. And that's something I'm so excited for because every little day, someone said this to me the other day. They were like, Carol, we don't all need to be millionaires. We just have to have our own version of what being a millionaire means to you. And for me, I was like, huh, okay. So that for me means that, like, if I want to be at home in my pajamas, I can. It also means that, like, when I do have tiny humans, I can go fetch them from nursery or from school and, like, they'll be there. Like, they don't have to go to daycare or whatever. Those are all winning things in my life. And I'm like, wow, I'm actually creating the things that I want by choosing to live in this purpose. So, yeah, very exciting.
Yeah, I seen a study that it's like 62% of entrepreneurs kind of cited that, family, flexibility, work-life balance are all kind of the motivators for starting to their journey on entrepreneurship and starting their business. And I think it is such a big factor, even more than money for a lot of people. It definitely is for me. I mean, I'd rather earn less and have that flexibility than, you know, have a massive wage and be tied to something I don't enjoy.
Yeah, you can't even enjoy it. What's the point of making all this money if you can't actually use it? I think money, sometimes we get stuck to a number, but understanding that it's just that it's just a number, that it's just a vessel to get you what you want, that's where the true magic lies. And I think that's something that, like, maybe entrepreneurs are better at other people at identifying, that we've sort of figured out, like, hey, I don't need a certain number. I just need these things in my life. And if I can get that, I'll be okay. Like, I'll be fine. I'll be living just as well as the guy with the Ferrari. Though it's nice to have a Ferrari.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it's about kind of knowing where you're going and getting that in your head, because a lot of us are just kind of aimlessly just going through life as well. So if we know and we lay out, this is what I want, this was what was going to bring me kind of peace and allow me to kind of pursue my happiness, then you got to have that laid out first. It's like jumping in a car and driving in it. If you've got a direction in the sat nav, you're going to get to where you want to go. But if you're just aimlessly driving around, you could then end up anywhere really.
Honestly, such facts. I think, that being said, like, I don't know if you've noticed this pattern, but I say this to my husband all the time. Every time we watch like someone's success story or someone's like docu series or like their biography, like we watch a movie on them. Everybody has the same thing. If you really want to be successful, you've got to have truly unwavering belief that you will be. And I'm not meaning like just service level, like, oh, I'm going to become an Olympian. Like, I can say that today and I'm not going to become it, but you have to like live, breathe it, see it every day. And that energy that you put into that task of becoming whatever it is you're going to become, that's the thing that drives you forward. That's the consistency we were talking about before. It's all about being consistent towards that goal that will get you there.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I say, if you know where you're going and then you work towards it, then you will get there eventually. And we've got to just kind of
Mm,
move past this. I have to check myself all the time with this instant gratification thing, where I'm constantly want things to happen now. I'm so impatient, but
me
I
too.
have to I have to check myself and just take a step back and just keep working and keep working and keep working, and realizing that over time, you're taking, and you got to look from where you've come from to where you've gotten as well, and realize that actually I am moving in the right direction. It's just going to take a bit of time.
And honestly, my husband and I do this exercise once a year. You've just triggered it in my head. Every year, we start our year by writing down our goals, but we do them a little bit different. We write them in three columns. I actually have them over there. What you want to have, which are physical, tangible things, what you want to do, like practical things, and then what you want to be. You, not your partner, not your friends, not your family, what you want to be. And every year we start our year off by just brain dumping, like there's no, like nothing is too big, nothing is too small. You've seen some of the things we've written on this list. It's actually crazy, but like crazy, like in a daring way, like, wow, okay, I could do that. And then what we like to do is at the end of the year, we sit and we see kind of consciously and unconsciously how many of those things have we achieved. And it puts a lot of your year into perspective, because then you go like, oh my word, I have achieved a lot of things. Often we feel like we're not making any progress, like you said, because we don't feel the instant gratification. But if you have it written down and you're like, wow, okay, I actually accomplished a lot this year, way more than I thought. Like, out of fun fact, most of the things, the tangible things this year, I wanted a lot of tangible things this year. All of those things are off my list. So, I mean, I'm nearly there. And in terms of like the kind of person I'd like to be, it was a really big goal of mine to make more connections and meaningful connections and put myself more out there. Hence why I'm doing these podcasts. And that's also pushed me in a nice way, and just to connect with people and be out of my office and be out there. And that's also happened. So it's very exciting when you can remember your goals and see them as more tangible things and be like, oh my gosh, I really have achieved a lot. And giving yourself that grace is basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we don't do that a lot, right? We still look at, oh, we haven't achieved this. We're still not at our, our end goal or whatever. Um, but we don't ever kind of look and go, oh yeah, I've come this far. I did that. And I think it's important to do it, because we kind of, by looking at what we have achieved, we can kind of build confidence, and think, oh, I've done this. I can build on that now. I've done this. I can build on that. And then that's how you kind of create forward momentum, really, and belief in what you're doing. Whereas we're
Yeah.
too bad at looking at, and too often we just look at where we're not, and that does the opposite, and puts us down, and we think we're never going to get there, and we're not achieving anything, or that it's not for us. So I think it's
Yeah.
important to look back and really appreciate what we've done.
I think so too. And I think every time you look back, you're kind of creating a new version of yourself. And you're like, a part of me feels like I want to have gratitude and be like, thank you, previous Carol, for getting me this far, because now we're here. If I look at myself like in my early 20s, oh, that girl was wild, but she was fun. She was just living. Okay. She was like, she was just living. Sometimes I'm like, I see you there. But this Carol's more chilled. She's like, okay, guys, we've got things we need to do. We've got to like get it done. She doesn't get that wild or very excited person anymore, but she's more focused. And I think you have to go through all these versions of yourselves to find the best version of yourself. And you're constantly building that best version of yourself, in my opinion.
Absolutely, and I think it's just life as well, right? We go through these things, and we kind of exploring who we are as well. Living our life, exploring who we are, and trying to kind of figure out where we're at, and who we want to be. And there's nothing wrong with kind of changing, developing, improving, and that's just part of being human, right?
Exactly. It's all like little ebbs and flows of life. Sometimes it's high, sometimes it's low, but again, it's very consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Carol, how do you handle like sort of any setbacks that you get with business, or life in general, really?
Um, Honestly, it's funny we said about like younger Carol. She was a very like emotional driven person. So I used to take setbacks in life or business very personally, especially in business. I thought they were a reflection of me as a human, and I thought it was a reflection of my character, of something I must have done wrong. I've traced that back to like probably my upbringing and something that happened there. But I do believe that like I just took it very personally. And now I've learned that it's not personal per se. Maybe sometimes it is, but it's not always personal. Sometimes criticism is just that, it's just criticism. I didn't like that. Okay, great. Well, what can I do to fix that? For me, I like to now what I do is I step away from it and I don't react straight away. So let's say you and me are having a problem. I tend to step away and go, okay, Aaron, unless it's something that you need from me right now, would you mind if I take a moment and just like think through it? And then can we meet up when you're ready and when I'm ready and talk it through? That way, I feel like also I'm not very great at confrontation. You know, those people who are like talk, 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 and they're like they've got that thing that to just know what to say back. I'm not like that. I just kind of keep quiet and I'm like, I'm just going to keep quiet and let someone talk. So having that space to reflect on my thoughts and think about what I truly want to get across and what boundaries need to be set, it's been integral. Like it's just been the thing that's really changed for me. um Also boundaries, guys, boundaries are like so important, and you don't realize how much people push your boundaries until they're pushed. And that can be in life and that can be in business, where it starts off small, like I was going to do this amount of work, but the client wants this amount of work for the same budget. But they find a way to push you until you find yourself doing it. Then you're burnt out, then you're overworked, then you're not delivering your best to other people. And it's just a boundaries thing. So for me, it's stepping back and always making sure that I have firm boundaries. That's like the best thing I think I've learned.
Yeah, I like that. Is it you need to have that kind of mindset shift, and that and then boundaries are really, really important for it. Like you say, in business as well as kind of in personal life, because we teach people how to treat us. So if we allow them to treat us in a particular way, then they will continue to do so to the point where they expect it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just that's just the highway to misery, really.
So true. And I think like if you've expressed yourself and you've expressed your boundaries to someone and they still will not honor them, they still will take advantage of them or push it or test that boundary, then you need to identify, is it worth staying here or is there something else? I mean, I like to not always shift blame and say, like, oh, well, Aaron is not respecting my boundaries. I'm like, well, what else could I have done? So I always like to look at myself first. Like, how could I have told them this differently? Is there something else I could have done it? Maybe I didn't communicate effectively enough. So try again. And then if it's still, then I'm like, okay, clearly it's not a me problem. It's a somebody else problem. So now I need to decide, do I allow this to continue or do I leave? Or what do I do to remedy this feeling? You know?
Yeah, it is important that we look at ourselves, and because that's the only thing we can control. Really, we can't really control what other people do, and setting
Correct.
boundaries doesn't necessarily control how they behave. It just the boundaries are for us, right? So we set the boundary and go, right, that's it. Like I've set my boundary. I've been clear. I've given you opportunities. That you continue to break this boundary. Ask me down. I'm not going to work with you anymore.
Exactly. And I also feel, especially with the boundary, know who the boundary is for. You've just said it really nicely. Like the boundary is not always for them to know the boundary. Sometimes the boundary is for yourself. Because if you're dealing with someone who's very like narcissistic and you give them a boundary, what you're actually doing is like you're toying with them. They're actually like, oh, there's a boundary. Let me go and push it. Let me go. To them, it's like a game, right? But maybe the boundary should be for yourself. Like, that person always reacts that way. So even if you show them the boundary, they're going to do it. So the boundary for yourself is to be like, I'm not even going to entertain it. I'm not even going to do it. I'm not going to take the bait. It's not today. Not today.
Yeah, that's key, man. You need to just kind of you kind of need to know what you're dealing with. You need to know what your boundary is, what it's for, and you need to respect it because it's no guarantee that everybody else will.
Exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So
Love that.
Carol, I just wanted to touch on
Mm.
the actual Facebook stuff itself, sort of a bit more detail. So, are there any kind of
Sure.
common mistakes that you see people making with Facebook ads at the minute?
Yeah, the first one is people pressing that beautiful blue button on Instagram or Facebook that says boost. Please don't press that button. The best way I can describe that is someone is going to the casino and they are playing the nickel machine. You just put like a little bit of money in there and then you think you're gambling, but you're not. You're really not going to win millions by just playing like the smallest amount on the slot machine. Um, that's exactly what it's like. And also, it's set up in a way that is only advantage is vanity matrix. And what I mean by that is it will get you, it will say, like, oh my gosh, 1 million people saw this. You got like 1 million impressions. And oh my word, you got like 10,000 views. But again, what actual thing did you get out of it? Did you want more sales? Did you get more sales? Did you want something tangible like an email? Or did you want to start a conversation with someone? So then again, you can see if you can move them to a call or if you could move them to get their email. What did you get out of that? So that would be my first thing. Please do not press that button. The second one is running ads without a tried and tested offer. If you have not been doing this for a while, right? And let's visualize it like this. Your offer's at the top, your offer's at the bottom, sorry, and you're on a slide. And the person has to go down the slide to get to you. If there are holes in that slide, right, they're not going to get to you. So, what could be the holes? Maybe, for example, after they see your ad, they're not taken to a second location, right? They're not getting sent emails. They're not getting sent follow up messages. They're not getting SMSs. They're not getting something. Holes. So, what are you doing to clog those holes with the right things? Because you could have a really nice slide, but people are like, ew, I don't want to go through that section. There's like bird poop there. Like, I don't want to do that. Like, no, no, no. And that stops them. So, you may have a nice slide, but people stop, like, nope, no, 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 I'm not going to do that. So, again, having a tried and tested offer, which you can test organically first and then amplify using ads. And then, lastly, the big thing I see is people giving up too quickly. Look, ads are not business rescue, okay? They're not here to save your business from total collapse. So if you have your last, $1,000 or whatever it is, or your last bit of money, don't think that putting it into ads is going to save you, because that's gambling and that's not what it does. What it can help you do is to generate people who are interested in your offer. And then your job is there to nurture them until they're ready to buy. So I would always say it's about 90 days till data. And what I mean by that is, like, with most of my clients, we take 90 days to figure that out and figure out their whole systems and figure out where the holes are, what their ideal clients are. And in that, we go into micro tests all the time. We're constantly testing and seeing, was it this artwork that worked? Was it this caption that worked? Was it this kind of like landing page or website page that worked? Any of those things, any of those little factors that go into it. And then at the end of the 90 days, we probably have something that we get to the point where it's like, hey, if I put $100 in, I know I'm going to get 150 out. And that is like because we have done that test. And that's what ads should be for you. They should be a predictable system that amplify your greatness and support all your other business endeavors.
Yeah, I like that. And it's important as well, right, to, have your business kind of, I say nailed on, but what I mean is, you have your offer kind of sorted. You know what it is that you're bringing to the table, because a lot of people will kind of jump to ads before they've even kind of figured that out properly. Um,
Exactly.
and then you don't really know who you're targeting properly, and then it becomes an issue in itself.
Exactly. And I think we like to shift blame. I don't know why we do this, but we like to shift blame. It's never an us problem, it's always an ad problem. Oh, the ad didn't work. Well, you ran it for 1 day and you spent like $5 on it. Your ad budget was like this small and you wanted 1 million people to make sales. Let's be realistic. Another thing I would say with that is the expectations of this ad budget. Often I get asked, like, Carol, how much should I be spending on ads? And to that, I always say, when you're at the airport and like someone comes to fetch you and they've got like a sign in front of them, right? The sign could be like as small as this lotion. I have a piece of paper, not lotion. Let's use this little lotion. The sign could be this small, okay? And if the sign is this small, someone will see you, right? If I write my name on here, you'll have to squint and look around, but you're going to see me, right? That's what happens when you have a small ad budget. It takes a long time to see results because people are squinting to find you. But if you have a giant billboard, of course, you're going to get so many eyes on you a lot faster. Therefore, you can test that slide that I spoke about before a lot quicker and see that, like, hey, are these my right people? Am I getting enough of them through the funnel to get them to purchase, to get them to give me my email, and to get whatever objective I've set? So that's all the difference there with a big budget or a small budget.
Yeah. Do you think it's worth doing with a small budget?
Yes. Yes. Because um all these social media platforms are not social anymore. Unfortunately, all these platforms have become a pay to play platform. And what I mean by that is if you have to rely on an algorithm that you cannot control, that is not built in your favor, right? They are working on attention. So if you're not building, let's use the YouTuber like Mr. Beast, right? He'll drop a video and he'll get like millions of views, right? It's because he's cracked that attention format. Everybody knows that when you watch one of his videos, they're going to be wow, they're going to be here, they're going to be there. He's cracked how to get that attention formula. Not all of us have that, right? And because not all of us have that, the algorithm is not in our favor. So, how do we get the algorithm back in our favor? Well, we have to pay. And I would rather spend, right, like $10 a day to have this video or this piece of content that I've created actually be seen by my followers than hope and pray that it's seen by someone, some random person. It is a better use of your time to take a small budget and actually interact with your followers, because then you create engagement. You're actually signaling to the algorithm, hey, people are looking here, people are commenting, people are thing. And I know I've spoken about like gathering emails, but you can start conversation too. A very popular style of ad now is comment the word blank and I'll send you blank, right? That's all engagement. That's all this kind of like rapport. You're saying something, I'm commenting. The algorithm sees that as a good thing. Like, hey, they're not going away. They're not closing the ad. They're commenting. Then they're going into their inbox. Then they're having a look at this thing. Value. So it's very important to control what you're spending your time on. And it can be a lot cheaper than most people think.
Yeah, and I think that engagement ultimately is social media, right? So that engagement piece is really important. It's important for the algorithm as well, but it's just important to build relationships because
Correct.
ultimately people kind of buy into relationships, stories, and the kind of magic in things more so than they buy the good or product really.
Exactly. So it's really important to build that community, to build that, like, oh, I like what they have going on here. How do I become a part of that? Sometimes we don't always buy from because we need a product. I mean, you could probably get like that product somewhere else for cheaper, or you could get it for like better quality. But the reason you chose to buy that product or service from that person is because there was some kind of connection, something within you that said, I want to support that community. I want to be a part of that movement. And so you picked them. If not, we would all be shopping, on that orange app that we tend to get like 10,000 like ads for.
Yep. Yeah. Um, Carol, where can people find you if they want to learn a bit more about you or if they want to get in touch with you?
So I have a website. It is called carolkabale.com. It's just spelled like my name. And if you want to dip your toes into ads, or you want to see, am I ready to run ads? Is this something that is for me? And I have an amazing little quiz there. It's about like 4 questions, and it can determine if you should be running ads now before you waste your money.
I like that. I'll drop a link in the show notes for people so it's easier for them to find you and get in touch with you and to do that quiz. Do you have
Amazing.
any kind of final thoughts or messages that you want to leave people with?
I always like to say, invest in yourself. And I know we've talked a little about ads and we've talked a little bit about mindset, But if you haven't done this today, or if you haven't done this recently, take a moment and just think, what's one thing that I can do for myself today? What's one thing that will move the needle forward for me as a person? Not for your husband, not for your friends, not for your children, not for your business, for you. And in turn, doing that one thing of investing in yourself, I feel like it has such a big ripple in your whole life that it's probably one of the most powerful things that I tend to practice.
Carol, you've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much for coming on the show and taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Aaron. It's really been really chilled and cool.
My pleasure. Take care.
Thank you.